Alrighty. Hey, thanks everybody. Okay, so basically, this is just going over what I just said about the nature of CD publishing. I think we're all probably, everybody here is probably very experienced in all of that. The downside sometimes, is if somebody buys a CD and you mail it to them and the case gets cracked in the mail, I mean, you've got to be the good merchant. You've got to be able to replace it, send them a new one. And typically they don't send the old one back, is usually what happens. Also, if you have a distributor, at the end of the year, the distributor sends back everything that they didn't sell. So sometimes you find out the last week of December, what a surprise. And sometimes for most, I think a large, vast majority of independent artists, you don't have a distributor. So you're pretty much uh, wearing all the hats. So unless you have a support staff, also you don't know how to connect with every past fan who purchased your first album, or if you're fortunate enough, your second, your third, and everything. So hang on just a second. I'm gonna get some background noise. Um, so anyway, so even if you managed having a list, you probably don't have an easy way to communicate with them. Now, moving on, obviously publishing in iTunes or Amazon costs less, but it's getting harder and harder to have direct access. So if, like anything else, if you're publishing on someone else's platform, the way it's been handled so far is you have to have an escort. You have to have somebody who will be the way into that, iTunes account or Amazon or anybody in there. I mean, even if it's TuneCore, they become your escort for all things digital. And once you put something out there on, let's say, as a digital iTunes, you're going to not be able to pull it back in. So once it's out there, it's out there. It can be given away. A lot of those memberships, it's like sign up to be a member, and we'll get 100 tracks to you. You pick them. Well, basically, that's your content, which, again, we understand everybody's taking care of the consumer, but the way I'm looking at it is like, what's happening when it's you. So, also, if you're publishing only on iTunes, how do you distinguish yourself in a sea of tracks from other bands? Can you? And more importantly, I think, will you? That seems to be, I think, the big question. So here's we're getting back to the nitty gritty. Why I called you all here. What if you could pay once to produce your album for sale? What if you never needed to rent a storage place again, or you could keep your closet for your clothes? What if there were no returns? What if there were no replacements for damages? And what if you could have all your titles available all at the same time for everybody, all your entire fan base to purchase at any time? And what if you could have worldwide distribution? What if you could communicate with all your fans at your, when you want to, not just when they want to? What if you could earn more independently as an independent artist than on a record deal, which is pretty much the case right now? But what if you could distinguish your efforts by doing so? And what if you could lead the way in the music industry? And that's what I'm talking about. And we were joking here, is like, while we're fantasizing, what if you knew exactly how many albums were sold, you could be paid quarterly? What if you never had to worry about people giving your music away? And if somebody wants it, they get it from you. And you also would have a way to reach them. So again, probably as I presented this to a lot of people, they were like, but wait a minute, we're already releasing, we've already given up CDs, we're only going digital. And we already release on iTunes, Amazon, and Google. So what I'm going to present today is that's great. Keep doing what you're doing if it's working. What I'm going to suggest is not for everyone, but just think about it. Once you release your tracks into that ocean, you have no idea how many times your music is given away. And worse, you have no idea who is purchasing. And I believe you ought to have that information. So we talked about, a wow release, mainly the feeling I think that you might get as you learn more about this. So you have no returns, no damages. You get paid for 100% of the sales, and you can essentially reach out and touch your fans at will. So lest you think, I'm coming up with something that hasn't been tried and true, that the major labels do it all the time. You've got Bob Dylan, Lady Gaga just came out with something this week, and Jay-Z, he had all his problems before, but he definitely had the backing of the label, his own label, to do it. So what is it? We're talking about releasing your music for playback on mobile formats, also known as an album app. You split, obviously, with Apple and Google. 30% goes to them, 70% goes to you. If you're releasing your tracks, you know exactly what that looks like. So the reason I'm suggesting this is if you think there are 3 things that everybody checks that they have in their possession before they leave home: their keys, their wallet, and their cell phone. I do it myself. So why an app? The nice thing is, an app, as long as Apple and Google have their stores, your music will be available. Now that's the same with iTunes and all of that, but this is the idea that you create it, you publish it, and it's there. So whether you sell 100 or 10,000, the cost to make it available is the same. Now that's unlike physical CDs. Record labels in the old days, when they would do 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, they would have economy of scale. They could order more than you could, so their costs could go down. The nice thing about this is your costs stay the same. Also, this is a huge aspect to this is you can actually, it's almost like a text message. You can send a note to everybody who purchased whenever you want to. Now, if you could contact every person who previously bought your album, let's say your first album, and you could contact them when your second album came out, do you think you could sell to them? Do you think you could have them purchase the second one? And I think if they're fans, I think the answer is true. Also, there's even a way in the app for your fans to get the MP3 so they can play it on the other devices. So you're not inconveniencing your fan at all. So if you're thinking, well, but yeah, they might want to play it in their car, great. They can contact you and ask for them. You get their name and email. So let's think, what else could you do? Has anybody, I guess I'll ask this question, has anybody kind of released something and then thought, oh man, I'd love to do that track over again? Maybe 6 months or so down the year. Now, you don't have to, obviously, but if you wanted to do it on your app, you could. If you wanted to let your fans know about a new album, you could. If you want to ask them for a review of your album, you could. I mean, wouldn't that be helpful? Wouldn't you like to know? Wouldn't you have like less distance between you and your fans where they know they're actually responding and giving something to you? What if you wanted to experiment with your album selling price? When you're doing this, you're totally in control. You can set a price for an app on a particular day from this time to that time. So if you're doing a show and you want to create a special price for everybody who's there, you just pre-set it up and they can buy the app at whatever price you want to sell it to them for. Bear in mind, 30% goes to Apple and Google. It's dependent on the dollar amount. So the idea is, if you're thinking of an app, it's all ready to go. It's all possible. Now, obviously, we wouldn't be sharing all this with you if we didn't actually have an example. And I happen to have a sort of live-in guinea pig. So what we did, this is my husband, Adam Holzman. He's a classical guitarist. And his particular needs, what he's doing, it was for him better for me to take an album that he actually released, that he had sound recordings for, and do a sort of lateral move into an application. Now, right now it's on Android. So if you have an Android phone, you'll be able to go ahead and access this and download it and test it out. But basically, we use the cover art, we put tracks in, notes, credits, and then if anybody wants to have the MP3s. Now this is a free app, so you're not going to be buying this one because I felt like providing it and saying, oh, go test it out and charging you was kind of sleazy in my book. So I just felt it was important to do it as a free app. Now, Apple does have a little bit more of a stringent review process. And when I say stringent, I mean like it's not, within a day or two. It's going to take, well, I've heard, they say 2 to 3 weeks. I've heard some take as long as, 4 to 5. But I think that's more for apps that where they have some question on the maturity of, what the target audience. So I don't think that's going to be any issues on music and things. But anyway, that's the idea. So obviously everybody's probably thinking the next thing is, I'm not a major record label. I don't have a lot of pockets. What does it take to create such a thing? And I'm just sharing, according to a survey, the average from a small, very simple app up to a very complex app runs anywhere from 8,000 to 150,000. Now there are some that have obviously done a lot more, cost a lot more, and the timeline typically is about 4.5 months. And well, I think that stinks. I don't think that's something that that doesn't make it very a viable option. So here's what we did. We decided if there's an app of your album that can be played on iPhone, iPads, and Android for a little more than a price of 1,000 CDs in a digipack. If we could develop it from the time that you submitted everything to where we could submit it to Apple and Google within 30 days, you provide the music and the imagery, and we provide the expertise to stay compliant and placing all your content within the app. Now we're going to work, back and forth, kind of show you screenshots and things as we go. But basically that we're thinking, okay, that would be good. So what's the flip side? You have to set up your own developer accounts on Apple and Google. Now they do charge an annual fee for that, but don't worry, it's really very simple and we can easily guide you through that process. We're going to provide ongoing training along with question and answer. We are working to also have the ability to turn this into a Kindle format on that. And with the idea, like the end race is you could be the best-selling artist in your music genre because timing is everything. So, thinking about it, could it help your career? Could it help your career to be the first in your in your niche, in your music, to be the first one to do this? Can you see how instead of following and reacting to the music industry, how you could actually lead the way? And what are some ways you think that you could use this to your advantage? Obviously, we're talking to your business advantage as, if you're selling your music, you want to be able to have a return. You don't just want to have expenses. So, and this is a way where your music can make you more money. So just to give you a little background, where are people listening to music? And the overwhelming majority, there are multiple places, obviously, but the phone, the iPod, and the MP3 player are the main places. This, according to, I believe this was who was this? RIAA, that digital music industry revenues are growing. In 2011, it was 14.8 billion. This, according to digital music study, they kind of do all the research. Songs versus app downloads. App downloads is now growing faster and taking over individual song downloads. So what does that mean in numbers? So on a daily basis, you guys can see the numbers there. There's 4 times as many apps being downloaded as tracks. So also think about what you could put on there. It's not just the music. You can have exclusive photos, videos, concert footage, interactive features. You could list awards and achievements and potentially in-depth interviews. So you can provide and really market to your tight fan base that that really a CD or a track or anything doesn't really do. You can put all this on Facebook, but they still have to come find you. And this way, your music is on their phone. You're with them all the time at this point, looking at it as an app. Now, obviously, we're offering to provide this as a service, but we want to make sure that this is the right solution for you. It is cutting edge, and we do want to know who we're doing this for. We're not just asking everybody to sign up. So I want to see if I can hang on a second. Let me make sure. I'm going to stop showing the screen just to make sure I get to the right part. Hang on. I'm still here. Okay. Okay, can everybody see? This is essentially a Google Doc, and we'd just like to know, what do you see as the main benefit? What's attractive to you? And again, filling this out is there's no obligation. How long have you been in the music business? How many releases have you completed? What's your type or style of music? What do you feel is unique about your music? Because all of these things help us guide you through this process. There may be some things that we think might be very well suited to you that we wouldn't recommend to somebody else because it wouldn't work for their market. Are you doing live performing on a weekly, monthly, or occasional basis? And if you never play, just put never. Do you have an email list of fans? If you were accepted, do you have a title in mind? And then how do you see the benefit to you by having your album? Now we're calling it a WOW CD, but we really mean this as your album. That CD is such a very specific term, but one that is a very big habit of mine. Okay, so anyway, we're looking at potentially talking with the first 10 that we'd like to do that. And so what are we talking? All right, cutting it down, we're talking about a one-time develop and publish onto your account on iTunes Connect and Google Play. And the iTunes will be for iPhone and iPad. And basically for $14.99. This is going to, again, be a very special price. I think if you think back to, what it takes to develop an app, and what you're basically are getting three. You're getting the iPhone, the iPad, and the Android versions of that. So what I do want to make sure you remember is this is a tool. You still have to produce good music that people respond to, right? An app is not a magic, wow, everybody's going to love my music. So you still have to market yourself. You still have to be on your toes. You still have to be, a musician and an entertainer. And something else we thought about too is you can use this to make your CDs, any physical CDs that you produce, limited editions. So not only could you say, okay, I'm only making this many CDs, you know what your costs are. You can also ask more. When somebody buying, here's a limited edition, there's only going to be this many. And let's say you even numbered them. All of that, there's incredible value in that. So there's a lot of things that you could utilize this for. So, okay, I've done enough talking. I would love it if we could get some questions here. Linda, I think I'm going to open you up. Are you there?
Sure am.
Cool. All right. So let's take a look. There's some. Go ahead and yep. Okay. Some people are doing it. They are typing in that question box. And Linda, can you look and see what the first one is?
Yeah. What if I have a cover tune on my album?
Okay, good question. If you're the same way as if you're doing a CD, you're going to need to obviously it's an archaic term, the mechanical license. It's actually where you go to songfile.com and you'd be getting a, a download license in essence, and you buy them in groups of so many. And Songfile can walk you all through that, and you do that, and that would be something that we would talk with you about because the question then is, obviously you're paying ahead of time for a group of downloads before anything is actually sold. So we might want to talk with you even a little bit about, um, how many cover tunes you have on that. Okay, what do you see anything else with
Yeah, I
regard
see
to?
another one. Is there a way you could add something like a video?
Yes, yes, I may have skipped over it. But yes, that falls under the different types of content that you can put on there. Absolutely.
Well, Carolyn, this is one that is all yours.
Which one?
I've heard about Revive Nation and their band app. How is it different?
You mean Reverb Nation?
Reverb Nation.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah, they do have they call it a band app, but there's no way to monetize that app. So, and I believe they folded into their annual membership on that. So the real question comes, one, how are, if you're not going to be able to make any money off the app except to drive digital downloads. So the question is, you're spending all that money to drive to a 99-cent track typically, or $1.29 if you have it set up with a high resolution. Um, so the question is, do you want to spend money to drive to essentially a dollar download, or do you want to use an app that you can potentially sell and where it can make you money at that point? Any more?
Well, Jeffrey has one. How would anyone find out about my app album?
Um, Good question. That's going to be, it's the same way, how would anybody find out about your CD? um, you're going to have to market that. Like if you're doing live shows, you're going to have to mention it. You're going to have something on your table. Um, all of that. I mean, you can wait for quote app discovery or music discovery with people who are just going through. But I would say that it's the same for a CD. You're going to have to market it, and that's something obviously we're going to explore with you. So we're not going to become your marketing department, but we're certainly in those training sessions and question and answer. We may make suggestions and have our artists try it out and see what works um, on that.
Okay, what if Apple turns down an app? They'd like to know.
Okay. Yeah, usually in terms of Apple, if they're going to deny an app, it may be for more for a technical reason. So if it's something like that, something that falls within our bailiwick, we're going to keep correcting and resubmitting. If it has to do with the content itself, the only thing I can imagine would be something that had pretty explicit lyrics in it, and we would just have to adjust the maturity level so that Apple is not selling something very suggestive to somebody who is, uh, underage on that. And Linda, I'm at the bottom of the thing, so I'm just going to ask. Tony's asking, is it a set price for full album versus EP? Yes, I mean, we've tried to make it really fair because if it's even if it's an EP, it's three separate apps on that. So we tried to really kind of get it to the point where it could be affordable to everybody, and something, because obviously to cover our time and the program necessary to do this on that. Oh, and right underneath that, hey Tony. His other question is, will bands be able to push new content, video interviews for the lifetime of the app, or is there an extra charge? If we need to, um, yes, it's going to be very minimal, and it's the kind of thing that we would like. It's kind of like anything else when you're making corrections. Like if you can gather up, 10 things you want to change, it would cost you the same as if you did one. So that would be, again, something very minimal. Where we're obviously not there yet. Assuming that based on what we know today, it might be something along the lines of $50, something like that. But if you think about, if you tried to, I had somebody one time submit the completely wrong version of something, and he would have given anything to recall all the CDs and have them redone for $50. He would have been thrilled. So, but again, we'll definitely, we want to be, we want to help you through this on that. So anyway, so stay in touch with us on that if that's something that happens. Hey, Linda, I didn't mean to take over. Were there any more questions in the middle?
Have you seen Sarah's question?
Uh, no, where is it?
Okay, it's what if you have already released an album on iTunes?
Ah, very good. You can definitely release the same album, as the app in the Apple Store. There's nothing that would stop you from doing that. And I would figure that you might have some artwork that might be able to do a crossover on that. So you could really, I think, take advantage of a lot of what you're doing on that. Oh, Tony's asking a question. Is this app per album? And if so, how do you make sure your previous context videos, etc., follow you? Is this app per album? I think if I'm understanding you, Tony, what you're saying is if let's say somebody purchased your first album and you come out with a second album, you would be able on that first one to be able to send a message to them and say that you'd released a new one, and then actually send them to that place where they could purchase. So if they were on an iPhone, you'd be sending them to where they could access that on their iPhone. Same thing for iPad and that kind of thing. You'd be able to message them. So you would always have contact with them, but you couldn't necessarily say everybody who bought the first one is going to get the second one. There's no provision, I believe, through any of the developer stores for that.
Well, the next question I see that we haven't really covered is, what if someone doesn't want to go through the hassle of setting up a developer account? Will
Oh,
we put
okay.
it on ours?
Right. Well, it's very easy to set one up. And we would definitely, I think I've said before, we would definitely work with you, walk you through that. We do not want to put apps on that don't officially belong to us on our app account, because obviously you want to get paid. You want to earn your money. And if it's on ours, all that money would be coming to our account. And unless you just like us so much and view that as a tip, I would think it would be a smarter business decision for you to have your own. And especially, you're looking at what, between both, just a little over, $10 a month. And that's just to get them started. So if you had multiple albums on there, you'd be spreading that across not just one, but, two. So, then you're looking at, $5 per app per month to be able to have your own developer account. So I would say at this point, I do not see any reason why I would change the plan on that. Um,
Okay, Carolyn, what kind of, well, no, wait a minute, here it is. Do you only use MP3s?
yes. The reason for that, obviously, is the playback on the players on the smartphones. So it's going to be MP3s for sure on that. Hey, and Linda, I know you're working down from the top down, and I'm working from the bottom up. Um, Tony, I love your involvement in this. Thank you. So he's like, gotcha. New album is a new app. That's right. I was thinking about making sure that fans could keep up with the app content, but now that I think about it, it makes sense to have new exclusives per app. Exactly. Exactly. So we've kind of got to think outside of this box of an album is, a set, concrete, never going to get changed thing. So it does give you that kind of flexibility and again, you can add this into your marketing plan. And again, it's going to be, in this case, you're going to have to share that with us, because we're going to want to know, what are your plans, with live shows and things like that, because we're going to want to be able to help you, because obviously this is a success for you. This gives you a new avenue. um, it kind of floats all the boats in that way. So again, we're trying to make it very affordable, reasonable. Also, give you the opportunity that you can ask your questions and see what things, how we might tweak some of this specifically for your fan base. Um, you know, let's think about this Kickstarter thing for a minute. Um, Kickstarter's great, and but think about it. They provide the platform. You have to shove all your fans over there. And let's say you raise a certain amount, you've got to split that money with Kickstarter. Now, what if you have people that already have purchased your app and your album? And what if they could have a special way that they could contribute to your band directly through the app? So you kind of have like a little Kickstarter program as well that's a part of your app, but one that you don't have to share. It becomes, and you can decide, those that want to be sponsors, you can say, hey, we'll mention you in the app. We'll mention you under the credits in the app. Think about how cool that would be. There's a lot of guys, that they would say, hey, I'm helping this band. And they can not only tell people they're doing that, they can have it and actually go there and show them, this kind of thing. So anyway, those are just some things to think about. Um, and we're kind of blowing past, I guess, the 30-minute mark. But Linda, are there any more questions on there?
I have a couple. So Mark would like to know, if they do the application and they're turned down, does that mean that CD Maker won't work with them?
No, it just means that we've probably, hit our quota in terms of what we could agree to do in a month. But that it'd probably be a situation where we would put them on a waiting list. We want to make sure that it's the right thing for, certainly the first 10 out of the gate, because, again, it doesn't really, would we do it as a vanity product for somebody? Absolutely. But given the choice between working with somebody who is attempting to create their income through their money, through their music, their income through their music, those would be the first ones that I would want to help on that. Um,
Well, if we have time, we have one more that I can see that we've sort of touched on, but Emily wants to know, they want to release a CD and an app. Do they have to create two sets of artwork?
no, you can actually send us, bits and pieces of it. We would like to, see the full concept, so we could make the app kind of echo all of that. And that would be, obviously, I presume that's an assumption I would have, that you would want the the app and the CD just sort of echo each other. But no, you wouldn't have to provide that. And as long as you send us the imagery, what we're going to do is attempt to work it into the app format, because while a CD is square, most phones and tablet devices are not. They're sort of set up portrait. So we would definitely work with your artwork and try to generate something that sounds that looks very similar. Um,
Are you seeing anything else?
Hang on a second. Let me scroll back down. Oh, okay, okay. I think this may be the last one. Since this app is a bundle of tunes, the biggest hurdle I can see is that people expect apps to be 99 cents. Sales go down exponentially once it's past that. Unfortunately, I think that might be the hardest sell. Well, an album is $9.99 typically. So if they're looking at tracks costing 99 cents, because remember here, your market is people who purchase music. So they're used to, if we're talking about expectation, their expectation is going to be 99 cents a track. You get multiple tracks, it's $9.99. Now, can you experiment with that price? Absolutely. And part of the reason sometimes apps are 99 cents is that they offer in-app purchasing for additional content. So I haven't thought about that per se. It could certainly be something where we could do that, but I can kind of see my way around it. It's a long-term strategy, but I would think that since you're going to be talking to the music buying public that's used to typically iTunes, they're going to be expecting an app to be I'm sorry, an album to be closer to that $10 mark as opposed to an app that's for 99 cents, simply because of the number of tracks. So, okay, well, cool. Well, does everybody, I think that's all the questions I see. Linda, do you see any more?
I don't see any more right here.
Okay. Um, all right, so let me make sure I'm going to put this link in here. Again, we kind of had it in the beginning. It's that little bit.ly link in there. And feel free, if you have questions on there, fill out the app and send your questions to production at CDMAKER. And we'd love to get additional input on this. We're going to be rolling this out. You guys are the first. You'd be commended for taking time out of your day. I really appreciate it. We're right at about, I think, 40 minutes. So, but anyway, if you have any questions, let me know. Also, I am recording this. So if anybody, if you think you'd be interested in getting a replay of this, let me know. Just shoot it to production at cdmaker.com, and we'll make sure that you have a link to a replay. So I don't see. Wait, there's any other questions? Okay, great, Tony. I'm glad that worked. Okay, Rudy, if you'll send an email to production at cdmaker.com, I'll definitely get that for you. Joe, yep, same thing. Okay. Guys, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. And again, we're here for you. We definitely want to see you succeed in all that you're doing. And please let me know if we can help you out through this process or answer any other questions. Okay.